Welcome everybody to the Financial Aid 101, Understanding Your Financial Aid Award Letter. We are joined tonight by two gentlemen in front, one gentleman off camera. We'll get to introductions here in just a second. However, we do want to remind you that looking at questions, that's right below the video box. If you want to enter in your questions there, you can also tweet your questions at AskYouFinley using the hashtag AskUF. There it is. Put Vanna White out of the job. So here we go. Tonight we're going to talk about a couple different topics here, and we encourage you guys to ask all of your questions as they come to you. Go ahead and hit the chat box in the window, or below the window. There's a chat box there, or tweet them to us as they come to you. We're going to talk about how to get ready to file your FAFSA, and we're understanding your financial aid award letter itself and the next steps in the financial aid process. So let's do some introductions. Gentlemen, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. Well, my name is Ed Recker. I'm the Director of Financial Aid here at the University of Findlay.
My name is Joe Spencer. I'm the Associate Director here at Findlay.
And off camera, we are joined by Chris Harris. If there are any, Chris is the Director of Undergraduate Admissions. If there are any admissions related questions, he's here, he's ready to talk to you. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about how to get ready to file your FAFSA.
Okay, so now that we've gotten past the New Year's, now we are looking forward to handling the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, FAFSA. Basically, at this time of year, you can start out by getting all of your documentation ready. For those families, 2013 income similar to 2014, you can really start getting ready for income from your prior year. For those, you may want to just go ahead and basically done as early as possible, and then be prepared to file the FAFSA. Generally, you'll need tax information, income like received, or if there are any other benefits that you receive that are untaxed for IRS. But the Department of Ed would like us to include that on the FAFSA application. It would also be handy to have your driver's license information and of people in the household, and that would be people that you provide more than 50% support for, and the number of people in your household that go to college. Now, for dependent students, remember that parents that are going to college in the number of college students. It would only be students that are children, siblings, or offspring, I should say. The very first process is going to be going to pin.ed.gov. At pin.ed.gov, go ahead and sign up for a FAFSA PIN number. This is a 4-digit code. It's very Security Administration has the Social Security number, so you don't ever want to share this 4-digit code with anyone. Application, when we're dealing with first-time dependent students, parents have a 4-digit PIN number, and then the student would have a 4-digit PIN number, and you'll need both of those to once we get to the end. Once we have the PIN, then you can go to the FAFSA application. That's going to be fafsa.ed.gov. You would go ahead, the student identifying information and their FAFSA PIN number, and then we would start filling out the FAFSA. And this is where information like having your driver's license number of people in the household in college will become handy. You're allowed to put up to 10 different schools on the FAFSA, although we highly recommend putting Findlay first. And then it will go on to financial information for the parents and students. At this point in time, not too many people, I don't think anyone actually has filed taxes yet, but eventually after you submit your taxes, you will be able to use what's called the IRS data retrieval tool. And this is a neat mechanism. You can just go ahead using your tax information, your address, pull over information from the IRS right onto the FAFSA form. And it's the best thing. It basically takes all the correct information and puts it on the correct fields on the FAFSA form. So a lot of headaches if you're not real comfortable maneuvering around the 1040 or the 1040A. After that, after you use the IRS data retrieval tool, then you would go ahead, the student proper use of federal student aid, and will sign the FAFSA application, and then the parent will do the same. So that is a high-level view of the FAFSA process itself. Generally, once you click the submit button, the Department of Ed will take all of that information and create what we call an expected family contribution number. Now, the EFC sometimes gets misinterpreted. It's not exactly what you're expected to pay. It's just a number that financial aid offices will use to determine the types and amounts of federal student aid that you're going to be eligible to receive. So it's just important that once you get that EFC number, that you kind of understand that you're going to need to talk to a financial aid counselor and really understand what that number means in terms of your financial aid package. The Department of Ed creates that EFC and they send it electronically to the schools that you list on the FAFSA, and then they generate the financial aid award letters. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead, turn it over to Director Recker here, and he'll go ahead and explain a little bit more about the financial aid award letter and what you'll expect to see on that.
Director Recker, I didn't know we were so formal this evening. Couple of things to piggyback on what Joe had discussed about the FAFSA. So oftentimes people will ask, what type of help is out there for completing the FAFSA? So the University of Findlay has actually a handful of things that can help you out. If you go to our website, www.findlay.edu, and in the keyword search box, search on how-to videos. The University of Findlay actually has a really nice bank of how-to videos to help you with various financial aid questions, but especially with the FAFSA and doing things like the IRS data retrieval, how to sign your FAFSA, how to do some things post-FAFSA, things of that nature. So those are actually really nice. I'm not sure if this is out on our website or not, but if not, it's definitely available on YouTube. There is a video out there done by a school, I believe it's UC Santa Barbara. It's called 7 Easy Steps to Completing Your FAFSA. It's actually a pretty lengthy video. It's about a half hour to 40 minutes, but it walks you through step by step on how to do it. You know, my dad always said it, there's no sense in recreating the wheel. It's an incredibly in-depth video that they've open sourced to all colleges and universities graciously. So we strongly recommend that if you hit a hiccup. And also the FAFSA itself, as long as you do the FAFSA electronically, there are actually ways to solicit online help immediately. If you get stuck, there's online chat that a student or family can click on, and they'll be able to help you out there. So once you've completed the FAFSA, as Joe had mentioned, generates that EFC, that information sent to the school, and then we start talking about an award letter. Now, before we jump into the award letter, we kind of need to talk timeline, because I think sometimes people get a little bit confused as to, all right, I've done my FAFSA, I've clicked submit, I should hear from the school in 3 to 5 business days. Well, it really depends on when you submit and when you'll get your award letter. So right now we're still in those infancy stages where oftentimes schools will wait to award. Oftentimes schools have priority deadlines. We do not, but we do strongly encourage, especially first-time freshmen, to file that FAFSA really as soon as they get their taxes done. Or if it's going to be very, very similar, use that prior year information like Joe had said. Once you submit the FAFSA, it takes the U.S. Department of Education a couple of business days to process. And then you'll get an email saying your FAFSA has been processed. You can view your student aid report, which is essentially a transcript of to the school. And then depending where the school is at in the awarding process, you should expect to see an award letter usually within about a week to 10 days. Now, University of Findlay, we try to turn around on that very quickly. We try to stay as close to that 1 week as possible. In addition to that, like I said, timing is everything. We're still really early on. Our goal is actually to get award letters out starting February 1st. I mean, quite honestly, that's really aggressive. That's about a month earlier than what we normally do it, but we feel very strongly in getting information into your hands as quickly as possible. So that's something that we've really challenged ourselves and hopefully dedicated ourselves to doing for our prospective students. All right, now finally to the award letter. I believe we have a copy of the award letter up on the screen. Is that correct? Loading. Okay. So the award letter, we've tried to keep it nice, clean, and simple for you all. A lot of schools will have various types of award letters, and they can be represented in various different manners. So we always encourage folks to make an apples to apples comparison when comparing award letters from different schools. That can be challenging at times. That's where we would really encourage you to contact us either in the financial aid office or in the admissions office, because what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to cut through a lot of that financial aid jargon. We're going to be able to give you a good idea as to what's free money, what money is borrowed money, what's money that you need to earn, or what's just kind of out there in the middle of the I'm referring to competitor schools. We obviously know everything that's on our award letter. So the award letter is up? No. Okay. We don't have an award letter. Okay. All right. So our award letter has 3 boxes. The first box is what we call our gift aid or our free money, total scholarships and grants. And scholarships and grants are exactly that. They're free money. They're money that you don't have to pay back. They've been awarded based or need or a combination of both. So that is all free money. And at the University of Findlay, depending on your program, that's guaranteed for, actually not depending on your program, guaranteed for all of your undergraduate years. So that automatically renews with the exception of some of the federal and state money because that's dependent on the FAFSA. FAFSA needs to be filled out each year. Those are things that you have to fill out the FAFSA, so we can't guarantee those. But any University of Findlay funds are guaranteed for all of your undergraduate years. The next box we have are total loan and work study options. So, and they're exactly that. These aren't funds that you're obligated to take out or take advantage of. These are just funds that are there for you if you need them. And then we also have a last box or a third box, which is quite simply, what will I pay for this year? And it's exactly what it sounds like. We take the estimated cost of attendance, which again, depending on program, we subtract out your gift aid and we give you that initial subtotal. And then we subtract out any guaranteed federal loans that you may or may not want to take out. And then they'll get you yet another total. So we actually have 2 totals on there because we know that not everybody wants to take out loans, but we want you to know and what guaranteed loans are available, what that bottom line is going to look like. As I said, we encourage questions when it comes to what does this mean, what does that mean. Receiving mailing from us that actually has a really nice how to read it and really outlines in detail all of the elements to the award letter, what certain things mean. And I'll also give another plug to our how-to videos. We have a really good how-to video on how it walks you through step by step. Like I said, we're really proud of our award letter. We think it's one of the most transparent and forthcoming in the industry. But financial aid folks, we kind of speak our own language. So if something doesn't seem right or you're not quite sure what it is, you can always feel free to contact us in financial aid or your admissions counselor once that's completed. So once you're, well, really even before you receive an award letter, so some next steps would be 1, questions. If you have questions, you contact us, contact admissions. If you haven't made a visit or haven't actually applied to the University of Findlay, we definitely encourage that as well, because actually in order to receive an award letter, we need you to have been applied and accepted to the university. we'll gladly give you an estimate. So if you're still on the fence and you're not sure if UF is a good fit for you, whether it be academically or financially, once again, feel free to contact admissions. They'll be happy to see you, talk to you. With some financial information, they'll be able to get you an estimate. That estimate is something that you could also do online. We have a tool that's called our total degree cost calculator, and we're very, because all schools are required to have what's called a net price calculator. Package, what it means for 1 year. Our total degree cost calculator is exactly that. It projects everything out for your total degree. So what's it going to cost, what my total investment is going to be, but also what types of aid am I going to get over the course of my degree path. It's very comprehensive, it's extremely accurate, and it gives you a really good idea of what you'll be looking at for in terms of aid and cost degree at the University of Findlay.
Okay, I'll get on to answering some questions. One other thing that deserves some note for especially first-time freshmen is the website studentloans.gov. When you complete the FAFSA process and get the award letter, there are some guaranteed funds on there for the student. Those are going to be the federal student loans. Studentloans.gov does have some items that need to be completed before aid post, and that is a master promissory note, and then there's loan entrance counseling. At this point, we're not going to go into too much detail about what that is, but it's just important to understand that at some point after you get the award letter, if you're interested in taking federal student loans, you will need to go to studentloans.gov and complete the master promissory note and the loan counseling. That's something that will become a little bit more familiar as we get closer to August. So at this point, I guess we're ready for some questions.
Some questions? All right. Since the University of Findlay is a private school, is it then more expensive than a state school?
You know, I know it doesn't seem like that long ago, but when I was shopping around for schools myself, you know, we always thought private equaled pricey, and it actually isn't the case. We are actually very comparable to pretty much all state universities in the state of Ohio, especially if you're an Ohio resident. If you're not an Ohio resident, we're incredibly less than the out-of-state cost to attend an Ohio school. But generally speaking, our net price is within usually about a couple $1,000s, and sometimes we're actually lower cost than an in-state school here in the state of Ohio. So private doesn't necessarily equal pricey. We have very competitive award packages, you know, to make sure that the university is an affordable option for you.
All right. Do only wealthy families send their kids to Findlay?
Actually, no. Kind of piggybacking along the lines of private equals pricey, it's not the case, and you know, we're not a campus full of Abercrombie and J. Crew wearers, although if that's what you like, go right ahead. Our average household income for a family is actually below $100,000 for students who come here. The average is actually right about the mid 80s, so like I think it's about 86,000. You know, we're a campus, quite honestly, with a lot of economic diversity. We have households and folks that, yeah, they do make upper six figures, you know, but our average is really right there. Not everybody's rich, not everybody's loaded. We try to make sure that our aid packages help those who need the help, so that if you want a Findlay education, we make that a possibility.
Okay, before we get on to the next question, just another plug. Right below the video that you're watching is a chat box, and you can ask your questions there. However, you can also go out to Twitter and you can tweet in your questions at @UFindlay using the hashtag #AskUF. The next question we have is, does it matter if I get my degree from a state school or from a private school?
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I think obviously it is important to get a bachelor's degree or a master's and beyond, no matter where you get the degree from. There are some characteristics that differ between private and state schools, especially with the University of Findlay. The reality is that being a small private school, we do have smaller class sizes, which allows for more interaction between faculty and students and more engagement in things like research. So I think that the best way to answer that is in terms of value and realizing that it's not just the content that you're getting when you get a degree, it's also experience. So having the opportunity to interact with faculty, and then also having opportunities. Basically, we collaborate with other organizations like Marathon and other some work experience when they leave. That's all part of it. So in that sense, you know, getting a degree from a private school.
Kind of bigger picture, the University of Findlay is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. And that's just a broad accreditation. All of our, for example, our health professions are all accredited by those professional accrediting organizations. So our College of Pharmacy, our nursing program, physical therapy, occupational therapy, they're all there. So you know, when we start talking about potential employers, they look for things like that, and those are all things that the University of Findlay brings to the table.
All right, we got a couple more questions here. Do many students that graduate from a private school owe more than $100,000 in student loans?
You know, I have to laugh a little bit at that because you know, the reality is that I'd be lying if I said no one from the University of Findlay has ever done that. However, they're so few and far between, it's ridiculous. Our average student loan indebtedness for our graduates last year actually went down for the third straight year. And that average was right about $25,000. And that was just for the folks that borrowed. We had about 30% of our student population borrow a dime. So for our borrowers, you know, that's actually a low number. It's lower than the national average. You know, every now and again you do hear about those horror stories, but that's where we really want you to talk to us. If you start running into a situation where it's like, wow, you know, I'm taking out more loans than anticipated. You know, that's what the financial aid office is for. We want you to make an informed decision. We want to help you explore all of your other. Quite honestly, you don't run into that. We want you to be able to live a happy, productive life. You know, student loans don't have to be they're definitely an investment. I always joke with folks that, you know, I raise my hand. I have student loans, but without them. But two, they are what they are, and future. So you know, those folks are. Thankfully, they're extremely few and far between, and very few University of Findlay graduates end up in that boat.
One student in your family, do you need a separate FAFSA number for each?
Great question. Each of the students need a separate PIN number. The parent does not. So if you have an older sibling for whom you filled out the FAFSA for already, so the older sibling has a PIN, parent has a PIN. Younger sibling does need a PIN. Parent can use their existing PIN that they've used with the older sibling.
All right. Do many students from Findlay default on their student loans because they can't pay back?
Another great question. No. I mean, to be blunt, no. Our student loan default rate is right at about 3%. We are well below the. It's about 15%. For private institutions, it's about 10%. So we are well below the national averages in both. It really goes to the holistic view of how we approach student loans and student loan counseling at the University of Findlay. We want not only with hopefully not a lot of student loan debt, but also informed about your student loans and what those options are after graduation, whether it be repayment options, potential deferment, hey, potential cancellation. There are loan cancellation programs out there, and we try to make those options readily known on our campus, and the folks who qualify for them, help them down, at least getting down those first steps towards cancellation of their loans.
And just another reminder, right below the video box is a chat box, so please send us your questions. You send them to @ufinley using the hashtag AskUF. A couple more questions here. We want to hear from you as well. Does financial aid get applied to?
So short answer, yes. Any aid is applied to your, what we would call your direct charges first. So if you're living on campus, tuition, fees, and your housing and your meal plan. If there's anything left over after, you can definitely use them for books, a UF sweatshirt, or maybe even a nice coffee mug for your favorite financial aid counselor.
And this will usually happen when we get a little bit closer to the semester. So usually you won't see a week before the term starts.
In all seriousness, don't buy me gifts. We'll get in trouble by the Department of Ed.
Buy your admissions counselor gifts.
They can accept.
Next, I have to wait until after I file my income tax forms to fill out that ever so important FAFSA.
Well, actually, you don't have to. When you get to the portion of the FAFSA where it asks about your tax filing status for the year, there's three options: not required to file, already filed, and anyone can go online right now today, access a 2015-16 FAFSA application, and enter in estimated data, and then just selecting will file as an answer. And then when you do file your taxes and those are sent in, then you can go ahead, go back online, and then select already completed, and then update that information. Or you can wait a couple weeks after you send the taxes in, and then use the IRS data retrieval tool we mentioned earlier.
Just another plug for our how-to videos. We have a great how-to video that shows how to do that IRS data retrieval. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic tool on the FAFSA. It can potentially cut down on paperwork after the fact, but most importantly, it gives everyone the most accurate picture, because it's, as Joe had stated earlier, it gets all of the accurate information in the correct fields.
Okay, so next question is, like, you're coming into Findlay and all of a sudden your financial circumstances changes. What happens?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really, the FAFSA application, you know, it is a snapshot at a point in time. So we do realize, and so does Congress, that sometimes circumstances change. So financial aid administrators do have the authority to use what's called professional judgment, and we can evaluate situations to see if they would qualify for having the FAFSA updated. So if something happens financially, unforeseen medical expenses, job loss, divorce, take that into consideration. But if you've already completed the FAFSA, you don't want to go online. At that point, you want to just kind of get your information together. You'll want to contact financial aid counselor to basically get that updated information to basically all the correct and lawful adjustments that you can have. And we're definitely here to help. So, you know, the biggest thing is that we're going to try to help and advocate for you. So we'll definitely do whatever we can to make sure that the EFC accurately reflects what it should.
Lance just asked us a direct question. With the merit award from Findlay and other scholarships, how does that affect the EFC? And utilizing the Parent Plus loan program, how would that be distributed?
So essentially, any any scholarships that you receive either from the University of Findlay or external to the University of Findlay, it has no impact on the EFC. The EFC actually just looks at the information on the FAFSA. So if you've received a sizable academic scholarship from the University of Findlay, if you're receiving academic scholarships out of the university, it's not going to impact what you get from the U.S. Department of Education, or potentially even some additional University of Findlay money. What it could potentially loan in regards to how much you can get. So we have to adhere to what's called, what that is that the U.S. Department of Education charges the University of coming up with a number that says this is a dollar amount that a student should be able, it's going to cost an X amount of dollars to go to the University of Findlay this year. We can't exceed that dollar amount. So essentially what we first do is we take that dollar amount and we subtract all scholarships. And then scholarships and grants, all free money comes out first. And then we subtract if the student's eligible for any type of work aid, so work study, things of that nature. We subtract that out. After that, it then leaves loan eligibility, if there's anything there. That's the only way that a scholarship any type of scholarship would have an impact on loans or loan eligibility, is that total dollar amount. So hopefully, quite honestly, we hope that you have so many scholarships that there's no room for loans. I mean, you're an awesome student, you're a rock star, we're gonna give you all sorts of money, you're getting all sorts of money from the outside, and you've got no loan eligibility because you're getting your schooling paid for through other avenues.
All right, I've got one more question here, and then we'll do some final thoughts and we'll wrap it up unless we get some more questions that come through. Once again, the video box that you're watching, below that is the chat box. Go ahead and ask your question there. You can tweet us at UFindlay using the hashtag AskUF. So one of the final eligibility number is low. So why don't I receive more aid?
It's a good question. You know, the U.S. Department of Education has caps the dollar amount in federal grants that they'll give. So generally speaking, the max a student can get from the Department of Ed is a little over $5,800 in federal grants. Likewise, resident and you qualify for an Ohio grant, they cap those. And this year it's just under 100. The University of Findlay does try to help out not only with our merit scholarship, with our University of Findlay Institute, which does require the FAFSA. So we do need the FAFSA in order to make that a determination. But we really do try to be competitive and really fill as much of that gap as we can in reason. That doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to be paid for via scholarships and grants. We would love to do that. Unfortunately, it's just not a reality sometimes. Up to loans, depending on what that expected family contribution, that EFC is. Because we do take that into consideration, although a guidepost, it's kind of a number that the Department of Ed comes up with when you complete the FAFSA. In theory, it represents a dollar amount that you should be able to contribute on an annual basis. So we do somewhat take that into consideration, but we know that's not always the case, and that's where we really try to supplement that with our own institutional grant funds.
All right, we really hope that we were able to answer all of your questions tonight. However, if we didn't, we are here to help you. So please get a hold of us and questions. So, gentlemen, wrapping things up, please give them your final advice from this point on.
You know, really, the one thing, well, the couple of things that I would stress is you know, one, fill out the FAFSA. If you have questions, use the tools that we've discussed. So our how-to videos, the live chat on the FAFSA, or even just contacting us or contacting the folks in admissions. But also, don't be afraid to ask questions. And I know that sounds really silly, but oftentimes folks they'll get a document that they don't understand, or their award letter comes and it's not quite what they expected. You know, don't hesitate to give us a call. Don't hesitate to send us an email, because we want you to make an informed decision. We want you to know what that award letter means, what everything is, because we want you to come here and we want you to be, we want you to be well informed about the entire process as well as what's in front of you. So, long story short, don't be a stranger. Give us a call. Let us know if you have questions, comments. If we can potentially assist, we're happy to do so.
And I would basically leave everyone with a thought about, basically the applying for external scholarships. If you go to our website at finley.edu and navigate to the financial aid page, on the menu on the left, you'll see a link that says other resources. And if you click on that, there's a couple items underneath there. Well, under other resources, you can click on a link called useful links. And what we do is we have some reputable scholarship search engines. Just so people know that generally scholarship deadlines, that's February 1st, March 1st. So there is some time to kind of secure some of those fundings. Basically, I would just advocate on behalf of these scholarships to at least give the attempt to secure some of this funding. Generally, how I advise people is to just think about different characteristics or merit. Maybe someone's going into a particular field. Just thinking about things that set you apart from other people and really applying for scholarships in those areas. Just whatever makes you an exceptional candidate, apply for those scholarships, because that's going to give you the best chance. It is quite competitive, so definitely if you have some time, even this weekend, I would recommend going online and searching and trying to secure some of these fundings for the 15-16 award year.
Along those lines, well, my last final thought here. Utilize your high school counselors, those guidance counselors. Joe had mentioned scholarships through our search engines. Those guidance counselors oftentimes have a lot of local scholarships. Sometimes they're smaller dollar amounts, but those smaller amounts add up. You get, you just secured a couple $3,000 worth of scholarships. Don't be a stranger to that guidance counselor office, because oftentimes they're getting new applications in. Definitely weekly, sometimes daily, and those can be invaluable. Just applying goes a long way. So along those lines, utilize those search engines. Talk to your high school counselor, your guidance counselor.
Great final thoughts, guys. We got one quick question that slid in there during those last couple of comments, and Kayla would like to know what kind of work study options there are.
Great question. We have work study positions all over the campus. Essentially, if there's an office on campus, odds are they probably have a work study student. So that's anywhere from the financial aid office. Of course, that's the most sought after work study positions.
This is where it's at, that.
Admissions, there are also work study options in the academic offices. Heck, there are offices in our barns and our farms with our equestrian programs and our pre-vet programs. So there are work study options pretty much anywhere and everywhere you can think. Last year, we actually, as a university, we paid out over $1 million to students through student employment and work study. So there are definitely options available to students who want to work.
And for those of you who aren't familiar with work study, that's just another type of aid that when you do the FAFSA and you determine whether you're eligible for that. But the benefit to that too is for every earns through a work study position, it doesn't impact the EFC next year because it's not for it. So definitely, if you're eligible for those funds, it's definitely an avenue that you want to pursue.
Lance got a question in there. Does Findlay have a due date for filling out the FAFSA?
We do not. We do not have a priority deadline. We do encourage folks to file you know, relatively early. So even though we don't have a priority, is that if you don't get it in by February 15th or March 1st, disqualified from May. That's not the case whatsoever. However, we do really encourage, try to hit that, especially that March 1st area. That's kind of a sweet spot. That way we can get you information in a timely manner, so that, you know, we can continue that conversation, and you can definitely make an informed decision about.
All right. Well, we've run questions and we have dished out a lot of knowledge here. So this is going to bring our Google Hangout to. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and go Oilers.
Go Oilers.